he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He is the one who killed Elise Duxnem, otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother. The killer? Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she is in shock and quite confused. That's why she hadn't noticed a huge problem with her testimony. Huh? What do you mean? What problem? Maya, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission. Huh? What? Yes, it's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night. No! Order! Order in the court! Mr. Godot, explain this! Add pureness of milk to the perfect, clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness' mind right now. A cup of cafe au lait. Cafe au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Tright's word are the milk and you are the spoon, Your Honor. I'm a spoon? I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know. You must have noticed this too, Trite. This witness' mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that isn't going to cut it. What did you just say? If there truly was no light in the garden, then there would be a fatal contradiction in the witness' last bit of testimony. Nick, may I? Recall the witness' statement about her attacker. She said she didn't know whether it was a man or a woman or adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would mean that Maya actually saw our mysterious person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker. No! Order! 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 What is the meaning of all of this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch-black conditions? Right. Do you have any idea of what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene. There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Maya, you did see who was the killer in the dark. And now, you are trying to cover up for him. Cover? The man that killed her mother! There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is. Just look at her. It's just like, just this. So here's another thing with the pixel animations. There's like these sprites. It's just like this tiny thing, like with the tears, and it's looking away. It's so expressive. It's like telling she is devastated right now.
Yeah, that's something a lot of newer animations just don't get right.
It's so crisp. But let's continue. Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you. You talk good game, Trite. But let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff. No, Nick, don't. Please, stop. Maya's dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth. All right, Mr. Wright. Time to show us what you've got. Who was this person you saw say Miss Faye saw in the darkness? There's only one person. Because it was pitch black, Miss Fay was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? What? But how do you suppose to show us something like that? It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night. Conditions? Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off. What this is, but it can't be. Ha. That was a nice bit of the deduction. Right. Well, everyone, this is the man that Maya saw on the night of the murder. Order! 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 Prosecutor Gordon, what is the meaning of this? Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you even denying it? Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. What do you mean by that? If you got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night, was it 3 glowing lights? Well, witness, answer the question. This frame here says it all, really. Just this looking away, just like the blinking of the eyes, just... it says it all. You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya. I thought the person who stabbed my mother was a man for a totally different reason. What? Oh, witness, what? Stop your chattering, Your Honor. Chattering? If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man. Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... when I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone, and all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since that person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. So, after the crime took place, the witness came to think the killer was a man. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor, No need to apologize. It is as Mr. Gordon said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. Ow, my neck kind of hurts a little bit. I will see this through. This is irrelevant. This is also irrelevant. Well. Torches were lit? Yes, that's how I noticed the whole scene had changed. I noticed that it was the killer who lit torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them since it was impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing still that bothers me. Why did the killer go through the effort of moving the body? It's true. It's hard to see how that would have be to any advantage to the killer. The only person who would gain anything from that would be the only person who wasn't in the temple, Maya. Very well. Let me hear something more about the condition of this crime scene. So you're saying that the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. The snow had been removed in an unnatural looking rectangular shape around the lantern. There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy, way too heavy for me to use. An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take all the snow away? Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victims' blood sprayed onto the snow? Yeah. The area collapsed and ended up being splattered. In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something else that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with the blood on it, well, there was no need to remove all that amount. That's true. He could have scooped up the snow that was just stained with the blood. It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue, but I think this will help explain them. And now we have that out of the way, why would someone need to change it? Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. But why would the killer tamper with this crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something. You did? Yes. I felt that the killer was hiding the evidence from me. For my sake. What? Hiding it for you? Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden, she may have thought that you had done it. No, she most definitely would have thought so. Yeah, the corona is just spreading like crazy. It's going so fast. Stock up on food, Mina.
Yeah, just
get food, get toilet paper, get medicine.
Yeah, stock up on food for a month. At least.
Get more spaghetti, get some canned tomatoes, get some like frozen meat and stuff, and just like stock up. Now you say that why the killer cleaned up the crime scene was make it look like nothing had happened. Yes, I'm sure of it. Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony. Yes, Your Honor. And the thing is though, lantern. The body of Elise Duxney was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then, at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe that this was all done in order to attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd. Oh, and what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. The message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing of the lantern? You're right! Order! Order! Order, but Mr. Wright, is the fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene. Indeed, but it doesn't make too much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, and then not write up the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing. Yep, you're all on it.
I mean, I was on that from the start.
Yeah, but still. But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave a message written in blood on the lantern? Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial, you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that the crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it. But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way a normal person would miss something as glaring as that. You're right. There's no way a normal person would. What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether. And who would that be? Just who is the person who could have failed to see the bloody writing? Got it again. Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday. You can't see everything. Is that correct, Mr. Godot? This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before, during the poisoning case at Tribulations. You could see the coffee with on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup, because it was red. Ha! It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared as black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one who can't see them? So then, Mr. Godot, you're admitting to it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern? Oh, sorry. I'm gonna get a thing to hang the microphone on soon, fair and well. I'm sorry. But I need to go through like a store that actually sells it, like IKEA, maybe Clas Ohlson.
Hmm?
But
What about it?
I need a stand for my microphone.
Yeah, but wait, why?
Because I don't want to stand on my desk, so that every time I knock into my desk for some reason, like it vibrates and like makes tons of noise for it. Hey, Grams, didn't you know? That's the reason I don't drink red tea. I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer, but there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Alice Duxnim, also known as Misty Faye. It's hard to believe this may be true, however. Once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Ha. Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Grams. come on. How does a little graffiti make me into a killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name written on there. I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Wright. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow? How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not just take out just that area? Yes, why didn't he just take out that area? Oh, could it be? Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that was seeped in the snow. And so, he had to remove all of the snow. He could be sure where the snow blood had landed, so he removed the whole area. Is it more likely the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. He would have been able to see just fine. It seems that once again this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot? Wait just a minute. Maya, what is it, witness? Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the Inner Temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after the old bridge got fixed up. Maya, you can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I may not look like it, but I'm... After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, well, that's right. Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me. Maya, do you plan to cover up for Godot no matter the cost? If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means that we're going to hear the whole truth, then I say we should not silence her. Ha! Nicely done, Wright. Very well, let's hear the witness testimony. Please tell us what happened at the Inner Temple after the murder. Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearlie was there at the Inner Temple too. Pearlie was also stuck at the Inner Temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first and cheered her right up. Who is this Pearlie? That's my little cousin, Pearl Faye. So, when did you hear about this? Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office. I'm terribly sorry, but what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. What? Come on! Pearlie would never tell a lie. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godot. Let's just move on to the cross-examination if the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but... well, Mr. Wright? Let's get this cross-examination started. Oh, we're getting there. This is the weird thing. He cheered her up? That's what Pearlie said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking out for my cousin Godot. Then here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict. Ha! Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy is really beginning to get on my nerves. Yeah, this case is long, super long. Like this section here, we're not halfway yet. The truth is that there aren't many places to look on the inner side of the temple. The policemen were all busy with the garden with finely toed combs, so I decided to carry out an investigation of my own in my own way, Godot style. I'm the same way. I like to hand that verdict my way, judge style. Maybe we should ask some questions, Phoenix style. Well, the investigation. It's an interesting part here. You said you conducted your own investigation. What did you find? Looks like my investigation was well as yours, Wright. After all, I didn't miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only thing I discovered, odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Faye, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western taste? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? So from there you were headed for the prep room. Wait a sec, what did Gordon say just now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Duxnan. So, this is false, because he knows what this is. Mr. Godot? The first time you crossed the Dusky Bridge and went into the Inner Temple was long before the murder took place. Why do you say that? Because he just made a fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall... Hanging scroll? But Mr. Gordon is right! The scroll does show a picture of my mother. Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. What is that wonderfully delicious smell? The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? Because gravy was much more a condiment to the culprit. Much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have any idea that this would be Misty Faye. Wait a minute, Nick. Yes? Take a look at the hanging scroll. Look at the top. There's a crest there. Ah, that. That is the mark of the master, correct? Exactly. So, if you know the meaning of the mark, then you could guess that there was a picture of Misty Faye hanging there. True, but Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this, clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Oh. Yes, it's possible he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing a Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding in the Inner Temple long before the crime took place. Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that the crime was going to be committed. That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime